This is Richard Watterson, a pink doughy goofball from Elmore who looks like a harmless dad in a sweater. But don't be fooled. He's actually one of the biggest criminals in kids' TV history. We're talking acts that range from petty misdemeanor to atrocious crimes that would put him on par with psychopaths. And in today's video, we'll dive deep to uncover every major crime Richard Watterson has committed. To ease you in, let's start with that time Richard Watterson decided to dabble in petty theft. We get a front row seat to his criminal debut in the episode The Job. The chaos begins when Richard somehow lands a job as a pizza delivery guy. The kids are over the moon that their dad finally found employment.
Spicy, my flavors will exhilarate. You get them double quickly when I'm twisting the accelerator.
But Nicole's the only one sane enough to realize something's very, very wrong with the universe. Just when we think Nicole might be overthinking it, Richard reveals his genius plan, which involves ripping off customers as he eats a slice of their pizza before delivering it. If you think stealing a few pizzas isn't that bad, in the code, we learn that customers' pizza was just the tip of the iceberg. After the Watersons family experiences a Wi-Fi outage, Richard reveals that they have been stealing Mr. Robinson's Wi-Fi for years. These might sound like small-time crimes, but they're more than enough for a no-nonsense judge to hit Richard with a $10,000 fine and a cozy 3-year stay behind bars. Now that we've cleared the small stuff off his rap sheet, it's time to get serious because in The Refund, Richard doesn't just cross the line, he pole vaults over it and commits straight-up robbery. The episode starts out with Gumball and Darwin trying and failing to get a refund on a video game from Larry. After a bunch of wacky refund schemes fail, the boys bring in the big guns. Richard's confident it'll be a walk in the park, until Larry says no without any hesitation.
We want what's rightfully ours, and we've brought our dad!
Exactly.
For the last time, I can't!
I wish to speak to your manager.
You don't realize he's a vile, cruel beast!
Then, in true Richard fashion, he skips negotiation and goes straight to robbery by snatching cash from the register right in front of everyone, in a move so wild even Gumball calls him out on it.
You can only put it in!
If you're one of those Gumball fans who believe the convenience store robbery was just a huge misunderstanding, then the episode, The Heist, might convince you otherwise. After getting his head stuck in a bike helmet, Richard Watterson turns a simple trip to the bank into a full-blown crime spree. He racks up traffic violations like Pokemon cards, and when he finally stumbles into the bank, the staff mistake him for a robber, so they hand him a bag full of cash. By now, everyone knows Richard sets the gold standard for terrible parenting.
Must be someone's birthday. Everybody throw your hands in the air!
How do you want that, sir?
Just in the normal brown bags is fine.
Don't be a hero, Larry.
I'm not being a hero!
Just give him what he wants, Larry. Don't be a hero.
I'm not!
But in The Limit, he takes bad dad behavior to a whole new level. In this episode, Nicole bans the family from having any chocolate, and you don't need to be a genius to figure out that it's a bad idea. The kids beg Nicole for candy, but the stressed out mom stands her ground. So naturally, they turn to the one parent with zero impulse control. Instead of handling it like a grown-up, he goes full criminal mastermind, straight up steals from the store, and even tries to turn his kids into pint-sized shoplifters.
Too well.
Oh, come on, it's not that difficult. You open the bag, you eat the candy, you put the bag back where it was, and no one will ever know.
Bad parenting aside, it's clear Richard's not just a goof, but an unrepentant robber. If he were actually charged for all those thefts and robberies, he'd be looking at up to $200,000 in fines and a solid 15 years behind bars. Remember that road violation we talked about earlier? Yeah, when it comes to causing destruction and havoc on the road, Richard is an offender like no other. Even though the heist shows a glimpse of it, it was nothing compared to the other road atrocities Richard has committed. In the episode The Authority, Granny Jojo goes overboard while trying to protect the Watersons, and they all lose their common sense. To prove Granny's being overdramatic, Nicole sends Richard and the kids to the grocery store, and that's when everything goes straight to hell. What should have been a simple shopping trip turns into a full-blown disaster as cars pile up in an epic crash you can only find in a show like Gumball. As crazy as that crash might have looked, Richard surpasses that with more stupidity in the episode The Parking. On a routine trip to the mall, the Watersons struggle with finding a good parking space for their car, and left with no choice, Richard comes up with an idea. He grabs a random spray bottle and starts spraying the road like some kind of parking wizard.
To do that? It wasn't me!
Yeah, it was.
Except, instead of opening up space, he causes cars to go flying off the side of the building. Just watching all those cars fly off the side of the building makes you wonder about the cost of the property damage. But Richard isn't done yet. Anyone who has watched The Amazing World of Gumball knows that the Watersons run over people all the time. But this was something else. Without even giving us time to get settled into the episode, Richard slams into Santa Claus with his car and almost kills Christmas in the process. If the Elmore Police Department ever decides to charge Richard for all the mayhem he has caused on the road, he is definitely going to be found guilty of crimes like reckless driving and vehicular manslaughter, which fetches a $150,000 fine and 25 years in prison. Next up, we have to talk about Richard Watterson's love for assaulting innocent people, starting with the poltergeist. The episode starts out with Richard getting spooked by a ghost living in the Wattersons' attic. Meanwhile, Gumball takes in a heartbroken Mr. Robinson, freshly kicked out by his wife. As if that's not awkward enough, Richard spends the episode cooking up a series of Patrick Star-level plans to catch the ghost in his attic, with each one dumber and more disastrous than the last. When the kids eventually take Mr. Robinson outside, Richard comes face to face with a ghost haunting him, and it results in Richard assaulting the hell out of Mr. Robinson.
Kids, and this is my sausage! Now get out of my garden, you
Mr. Robinson!
With Mr. Robinson off the checklist, Richard was on the prowl for his next victim. And in The Flakers, poor Rocky ends up catching the short end of the stick. After a trip to the dentist, Nicole leaves the kids in charge of Richard, who's completely zonked out on anesthetics. Naturally, they do what any responsible kid would do. Absolutely nothing. And Richard ends up causing chaos in Elmore.
Spin her way right now! We're gonna get our butts kicked!
Yeah, I would have thought the anesthetics would have made him a better driver.
He flattens a neighbor, crashes the family car, and straight up assaults Rocky, whom he thinks is a hamburger. Anyone can tell that Richard's mere existence means that someone somewhere would be getting assaulted. For crimes like assault and battery, Richard would be staring down 10 years in prison and a $100,000 fine. And if you thought assault was the peak of Richard's criminal career, think again. Because in The Prank, he levels up by adding child endangerment to his ever-growing rap sheet. It all begins when Richard pranks Gumball by replacing the sugar with salt for his morning cereal. It doesn't take long for Gumball to get his revenge with a bottle of ketchup. And that's when things spiral out of control. Despite Richard's best efforts, Gumball and Darwin completely outsmart him. So, he does what any rational father wouldn't. He goes nuclear. Somewhere along the way, Richard clearly forgets these are his kids because his pranks start looking more like murder attempts. The man was out here trying to crush them with solid concrete. As if endangering your kids wasn't bad enough, in the episode The Bus, Richard connives with other parents to kidnap their kids. It was supposed to be a lesson to teach the kids that ditching school was bad. But boy, were they in for a ride. What starts out as a lesson turns into a real-life kidnapping with ransom demands, a real police chase, and a bomb.
They're heading for the airport. We gotta take them down.
Continuing the trend of Richard putting his kids in danger, The Return shows just how terrible Richard can get when he straight up forgets his kids at the mall for an entire day. To make sure the kids get to school on time, Richard goes on a wild goose chase all the way to the port, then caps it off by stealing a truck to drive them there himself. At this point, it's safe to say Richard Watterson isn't winning any Father of the Year awards. In the real world, pulling a stunt like that would earn him 30 years in prison and $200,000 in fines.
Oh, wait up!
Listen to Soundtrack AM, the right music at the right time.
Perfect.
Kidnapping your kids is one thing, but Richard also doesn't have a problem with kidnapping others, and Larry finds out the hard way in The Menu. Richard kicks off the episode by literally breaking the sound barrier, tearing through Elmore like a pink wrecking ball, and leaving a trail of shattered windows, wrecked homes, and traumatized neighbors in his wake.
What?
Upon learning of the secret Joyful Burger menu, he makes it his life mission to eat the mysterious meal. But Larry won't let him unless he knows its name. Using his big brain, he makes Gumball and Darwin go undercover as fast food employees to uncover the secret burger menu. The boys go full spy mode, but of course, it all blows up in their faces. That's when Richard completely loses it and takes things from goofy to criminal by kidnapping and straight up torturing poor Larry just to get a burger recipe.
Tell us the name of the secret burger.
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but there's no point disguising your voice if you're not wearing any masks.
Dead.
Poor Larry might have gotten away to continue at his other jobs, but kidnapping and torture are two of the most serious violent crimes in virtually every legal system. So Richard's looking at 40 years and a $300,000 fine per count. Finally, we have to talk about Richard's love for property damage and identity theft. Starting with The Founder, where Nicole and Richard have to physically pull up to the internet company to pay their bill. While Nicole's busy dealing with the bill, Richard waddles into the company just to grab a snack from the vending machine. And that is when chaos clocks in. When an employee calls him out, instead of leaving like a normal person, Richard does the dumbest thing possible by claiming he owns the entire building. And it actually works way too well.
An appointment. I own the place.
I'm sorry for keeping you waiting, sir. Please don't fire me. I'll tell the CEO immediately. He's back.
Instead of stopping on the ground floor, Richard takes his fraud all the way to the top. And it doesn't take long for his stupid plans to bring the whole building down. Throughout the show, Richard leaves a trail of destruction across Elmore. But no episode captures his chaos better than The Helmet. After the family discovers the power of Gumball's helmet, Richard does what Richard does best and completely abuses it. He wins a boat and, in true Waterson fashion, immediately drives it across the road, wrecking it just like he's wrecked half of Elmore. In the real world, identity theft and property damage are no joke. And knowing Richard, there's no way he's talking his way out of this one. He'd be staring down a brutal 20-year prison sentence and fines racking up to a whopping $500,000. With all the crimes we've covered so far, it's safe to say Richard Watterson isn't just a goofy dad, but a full-blown cartoon criminal mastermind. Adding up all his felonies, misdemeanors, and general acts of chaos gives us 143 years behind bars and $1.46 million in fines. If you stuck around till this point, don't forget to subscribe to the channel unless you want the Wattersons moving next door.